Hello and welcome back to the podcast. The theme of this week's episode is definitely awkward moments. Some for us and some for pop culture. So let's start with our own personal awkward moments this past weekend. Starting with, I did mention last week that I was going to the Usher concert. And I did go. And I will say, first of all, it wouldn't have been so awkward. However, I went with my Uncle Nate. And that added a layer of awkwardness to the scenario because I don't think either one of us could have been fully prepared for what we were about to witness.
Don't say.
I will, yeah. So, how do I put this? The show was very schmexual in nature. Lots of moments there. Like, for example, let me give an example.
Yeah.
One thing that happened.
I'm so scared.
So there was like a VIP area with a smaller stage in the middle.
As one does at a show.
So,
B stage, pretty normal.
Yeah. So Usher like walked through the crowd and went over there. And
he just casually walked through the crowd?
No. I mean, like they took him over there.
I see.
And he took a jar of cherries and was hand feeding the audience members cherries from the jar, but like envision also zoomed in camera work on the cherries dangling over these people's mouths and them trying to get the cherries in their mouth. Like very graphic images, to say the least. But you know, I just felt like secondhand awkwardness for the people.
How long did this go on for?
Too long, like 5+ minutes.
And where did the cherry jar appear from? Was it already on the stage?
So there was like a little, oh no, and by the way, so while this was going on, there was like a little area around the stage, and that's where he was standing in, almost like a bar area that he had, and that's where he was standing at. But then trust me, there was more, because going on behind him was a stripper pole with dancers on the pole while the cherries were being had.
What one of his songs like encouraged this kind of behavior?
Oh no, and
like was there music going?
That's I think the worst part for me, because it was My Boo. And so it did not make sense at all. And the most saddest the saddest part of it all was truly that me and the other friend that went with me and my uncle, Ashley, we were really looking forward to My Boo like being performed.
Right, a staple Usher song.
But it wasn't. It was like the DJ was playing it and he would like randomly say a word or two while he was feeding the cherries. And so that was something. So
it was almost like an interlude. It wasn't even, the song wasn't even performed. It was just kind of in the background as this nonsense went on.
But as like at a part where I wanted to pay attention because I wanted to hear the song, but then like I didn't want to look at the screen because I was just like seeing people's tongues and I was like, what's going on?
This out of Usher.
Honestly though, I will say, okay, besides these little parts, it was such a good show. Like think of the Super Bowl performance, but like times 10.
Right.
There was a segment where he rollerbladed around.
You told me about that.
So, like, overall, the production of it was crazy. There was lots of dancers. Like, it was a very good show. But there were a few little moments where I was like to Nate, like,
close
your eyes. I don't want to be watching this with you.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah.
That's not what I expected you to experience, but.
Yeah, I also didn't fully expect it. But I did see, and we talked about this a while ago, clips from his Las Vegas residency.
Was it similar to what
he would go in the audience in Vegas and like dance on people.
Oh.
Remember TBT did the whole Keke Palmer and her boyfriend
my
fought?
Gosh. I remember this now.
Yes.
It's coming back.
So it was, I think, something I maybe should have expected, but I just didn't, because I'm like, how are you about to do that in an arena?
Right.
But overall, it was a great show. I'm so glad I went. So many freaking hits. Like, it was the past, present, future. So there were so many hits from the past, and honestly now too.
Yeah.
But still, that was what I was like really looking forward to. And for the most part, I got to see all of that. So I was very happy.
Except for when you were shielding your eyes.
Yeah, except for when I was shielding mine and Nate's eyes. But I will say, this weekend, we unfortunately also saw something
that we had to shield our eyes from.
That we shielded our eyes from, and that was the Lions lost.
But I don't really want to talk about it too much.
I agree. We don't need to. You know what? My thing is, you can't win them all.
You really can't, and we might as well, there's a lot of get it out of the way. We got a lot of season left, and we're going to come back stronger, better, and we still love the Lions. I'm still rooting for them. We're still going to the Super Bowl. That's 100%. My piece.
No questions about it. You can't win them all, and this was something we had to go through to grow through, and we will. But something interesting about the NFL, just while we're on the topic, while we have to talk about it,
something that came up.
So speaking of the Super Bowl and us being there, we'll probably also be there in 2027,
as we would be,
which is important.
I would expect nothing less,
right? And it's important to note because a creator on TikTok pointed out that the Super Bowl in 2027 takes place on Valentine's Day. And I did look it up, and that is confirmed. And there was some controversy here because on one hand, people who discovered this were like very thrilled because the following day is President's Day. And so some people will have the day off. And so some people were very happy to learn this. On the other hand, some people were a little worried about their relationships.
Oh my gosh. I find that, well, I understand because it is Valentine's Day. We want to celebrate love, one of my favorite holidays. However, Super Bowl always falls on a Sunday. So I think regardless, most people would probably celebrate Valentine's Day that Friday or Saturday before anyways. So I really don't see this as being that much of an issue, but people will for sure turn it into that. Like, I can totally see people getting worked up and angry over this.
I feel like personally, I would love to be surprised with Super Bowl tickets for a Valentine's Day gift.
That's a really great idea.
And like it's a great way to not get in trouble and to like do a fun activity.
That sounds like a good time to me.
It's going to be an awkward conversation for some couples to have, though.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for, some people aren't as into sports as the others.
Correct.
And
some could argue we used to be those people.
We were those people. We've turned a leaf, and we are now into sports. So I perceive, with or without the tickets, things will be okay for us.
We won't be the ones having the awkward conversation.
We will not have an awkward conversation.
Correct.
But I feel for those that will have an awkward conversation. I feel as it's going to be many of you're putting football over me type situations, and
it could be bad.
It could be detrimental.
Well,
good thing we got some time.
I know. 2027.
Yeah, what creator was looking that far ahead?
I don't know, but
schedule?
To be fair, I feel like we'd do some crap like that. Like we would be like, we need to figure out when it's on Valentine's Day to like, I don't know. I feel like to make sure we plan something. I could see that happening. A little crossover Galentine's football party. I don't know.
I mean, I think that there's a really good theme that's gonna come from it.
Exactly. Well, let's get it back to some awkward moments because the VMAs also happened this past week. And on a positive note, let's start there. We did try. Well, I guess we can't say
this
try.
This is not a positive note.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Well, anyways, I was pretty happy because we got Auntie Anne's because we were looking to try the sip and dip cups that we talked about, a little too excited about. And so we made the decision that would be our dinner.
And that was one of the best decisions we've ever had. Could be problematic because we're going to continue to eat soft pretzels like they're going on a tile.
And that I would call that girl dinner. Mm-hmm. And you have to have it once in a while, and it's fine. However, we didn't get the sip and dip cups because they didn't have them.
They really didn't.
They said next week.
I was so excited, and now it is next week. currently.
So arguably, do we need to do it again?
We sure do.
Well, I will say it was one of my favorite dinners I've had in a long time. So we shall update if we get our hands on the actual sip and dips.
Next week. This is a mission, and we will not rest until we complete this mission.
It's for research. But another thing that I guess wasn't so positive / maybe was just a little bit awkward was Tyla not holding her award. This caused some controversy.
It caused a lot more controversy than I expected.
I will be honest, though. When it happened, me and Brittany dead stopped and just looked at each other.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't a word was spoke.
No, just
a simple glance, and we knew.
We saw it in each other's eyes, the thoughts that we both had. And truly, I think the words that came out of my mouth first after we knew what we were thinking was, her team told her to do that, right? Like, I could not fathom that she would make that decision.
She made that decision on, and apparently I have now heard via TikTok that moon men are quite heavy. And by quite heavy, I mean 8 to 10 pounds. And other videos have surfaced. So last year, Olivia Rodrigo did win a moon man. She won a VMA. And whoever had it was presenting her with the award, went to hand it to her. She had a handheld mic in her hand. So trying to hold both the trophy and the mic was a little bit difficult for her. So somebody grabbed it. They're like, oh, I'll grab it for her. She didn't ask for anyone to take the moon man away from her. I think she maybe made a comment about it being heavy and not expecting that. And people are comparing this to Tyla's situation, saying there's a difference. Tyla had both hands. She had a mic. She was trying to put it on Miss Halle Bailey to hold the trophy for her. Like, she specifically called out Halle to hold it.
I did see people saying that, and then I saw some pictures of them together saying that there was no beef between them and that it was just like a misunderstanding.
Halle did not move. She stayed smiling. She stayed poised, very demure. And Little Nas was a very gentleman.
And grabbed the
trophy.
I will say, though, I'm pretty sure in those situations, when you get the award, like, that's not your award. They reuse the same one, and then they send you your award, like, later.
Yeah.
So why don't they just make, like, a fake...
Like a
light,
foam moon man?
Yeah, like a fake light version for people. Especially people who are winning, like, 5 of them. And they, like, go take a picture. Yeah. Like, what is that? 80 or no, what's 8 times 5? 40 pounds? There's, like, holding 40 pounds like that.
Yeah, that would probably be the smart thing to do. I'm surprised they haven't done that.
You know
Maybe
what?
now.
Maybe now they will.
You spoke into existence. They will take your idea and move forward.
I will say another thing that was kind of awkward, in my opinion, that happened was Sabrina Carpenter making out with an alien.
It was art, I think.
And what do you think? What do you think that the philosophy was behind that?
So I've done some research on TikTok, and some TikToks claimed that the alien and the astronaut that were her background dancers may have been supposed to allude to Camila Cabello and Shawn Mendes dancing together at the VMAs a few years ago, because some of the moves were a little similar between what the alien and the astronaut were doing. So I think the alien was supposed to be Shawn Mendes, maybe?
Wouldn't it have been the opposite? Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know.
I think that's
it was
a stretch.
it was a stretch of a theory, but that's what I heard. So I'm just sharing that knowledge because journalism, and it would be rude for me not to share what I know.
Well, what I know is that...
What do you know?
Britney Spears also agreed that it was weird.
That. I thought Britney Spears would love it, would love a spectacle, would love something wild happening, but I guess she didn't agree with the making out.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I feel like it's a very pop star thing to do to try to create some kind of like
buzz around your performance.
Yeah.
And here we are talking about it.
But I don't know if that was necessary, but also I did think it was just so wild. I haven't heard anything from Britney Spears in so long. And then she came out to talk about the VMAs and was like, why was she making out with an alien?
I know. I'm surprised she said something about that and not about Meg the Stallion
Wearing her outfit.
coming out with a snake, and then immediately regretting the snake and the snake having to go away, because that would have been me. Actually, I don't even think I would have made it out with a snake on my arm. Like, one time, this is the closest I've ever gotten to a snake, because snakes are one of my biggest fears, right next to alligators. Snakes, alligators, not a fan. I went on it was called the Wild Africa Track at Walt Disney World in Animal Kingdom. So it's like a behind the stage type trek, if you will. You go through like some high ropes courses, and you get to encounter some animals. And our tour guide had let us know that once we crossed this bridge, we were going to have a friend waiting for us on the other side. The friend was, in fact, a trainer with a snake in arm. And I did touch the snake with my finger.
But you didn't hold it. Bless you.
Thank you. No, I did not hold the snake. I don't know if that was an option, but I would have not accepted that option.
Oh, it's like no one was holding it?
No, it was just the trainer was holding it. But okay, I don't think anyone else held it. They made me approach it first. I still have a video, and I do not look pleased in the video. And eventually I touched it. Probably wasn't by its head, probably its body. I didn't like the experience, and people say, like, don't knock it till you try it. I don't like snakes.
I feel like that's a situation where you wouldn't say don't knock it till you try it, because most people probably wouldn't try that, because I agree. I was in a similar situation when we went to Australia. Mm-hmm. We went to, I don't know exactly, it wasn't exactly a zoo, but it was like a little thing you could walk through. Mm-hmm. And we did touch a koala. Aww. But Evan held a snake.
How big was the snake?
Huge.
Really? This was a kind of a baby snake compared to...
No, I refused. I didn't touch it.
It was huge and he held it?
Yeah. I'll have to put a picture.
How big? Like Britney Spears?
Yes.
Big? You're joking.
No.
What color was it?
I want to say it was yellow.
Stop it.
But anyway, so yeah, I would also turn that down.
It just doesn't seem necessary. You don't know what they're thinking.
Well, I mean, that's with any animal.
No, I know what my dog thinks.
I want to kill you at all times. I agree. If anything, you should be more terrified of the animal in your home than the snake that you touched at Disney. I can fully say that.
Tomatoes,
I've seen things.
Potatoes,
I've seen things.
Corona is a precious baby angel.
I would argue the opposite. Love her. She's a cutie, but she's deadly. As far as the snake goes, yeah, I was surprised also that Britney Spears didn't comment on that.
Right? Wouldn't you think that she would have something to say about that rather than... I don't know.
Yeah. Well, she paid a little... I feel like there was a lot of kind of going back to old performances and stuff. Like even Dad did the old performance. Like he brought out all the people that looked like him. The funny part was when that was going on, Elena was also here watching with us, and she looks at me and she's like, you should do that for Halloween. Like get a blonde wig and put on a beard. And then like our other friend was here and he's like, you would look just like him. You should have been on the stage. Do that. I'm like, oh, thank you. Thanks a lot. So that's up in the air. Maybe I'll do it and dress like that for one of the Halloween episodes. But also, what? You don't like that idea?
I wouldn't be able to take
You'll have to do
seriously.
It too.
Shut up. That would be hilarious.
That'd be hilarious. Where was I even? What was I about to say? Oh, with the going back to like a lot of the old performances.
There's a lot of references.
Katy Perry won the
Vanguard
Award for like all her past performances and music videos, and her performance was like, why she had a little bit of pink moment when she was flying through the air and stuff.
She really no. You know what the crazy part about that actually was? So Katy Perry's actively flying through the air, and I don't know what we were talking about before that. Maybe just about like concerts we've seen, performers or something. And Elena goes, "You'll never guess who one of my favorite performers is." As Katy Perry is flying through the air, I go, Pink? And she goes, how'd you know? I go, because that's exactly what Pink does, is fly through the air.
Yeah, she was shocked. She was like,
How
"Are
did
you a
know?"
psychic?" Like thought Brittany had special powers. No, but the funnier thing was me, you, and our friend Matt who were here. Elena says this. We all look. We're like, pink. She's like, like we all like spoke to each other.
She was like, y'all know me so well.
Yeah, she thought it was like some deep meaning. Okay, another thing that happened that I will argue was also awkward. Chappell Roan yelled at a photographer to shut the F up.
As she should. Stand on business, queen.
She should, but just like, imagine being both of them in the scenario. Like, just how awkward that was and like all the people around. It's like when you're little and your like friend gets in trouble while you're there and you just like don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That's like, I imagine what everyone in that room was feeling. Like no
I
one
don't know
knew what to do. And I feel like every photographer in that moment was like, I'm just going to go.
Yeah. Like, I've seen what I've needed to see. I'm out of here.
Yeah, but apparently when she like turned to walk, the photographer said like, shut the F up under their breath. So then she heard them. And instead of just letting it go, she turned around and yelled at them.
Yeah. Because she said, I think she's come out and said that she's not used to a bunch of grown men just yelling at her and, you know, being obnoxious. I would be a little afraid of too if there was all these old men with cameras and yelling at me and saying, shut the fuck up. Like, no, you shut the fuck up. I don't know if I'd have the guts to say it. So good for her. I'd probably just be scared. So they were probably a little taken aback, taken off guard.
Well, I'll tell you what, that photographer is not going to do it again.
Oh, hell no. He better have learned his lesson.
Yeah, well, also, I thought this was cool. I didn't know this until after the fact, but Noah Khan actually defended her and posted his own experience, saying, I'll never forget leaving the Clive Davis pre-Grammy Gala and the horrific crap photographers and paparazzi or whatever were saying to me in front of my sweet mom, who couldn't believe it was actually happening.
No.
And so he told her, good for her for sticking up for herself.
It's sad because I'm sure there's a million other stories just like that. So,
yeah, and I can imagine that walking a red carpet, especially like for her, this is all new to her as it is. She already just came out with that video basically saying like, please leave me alone.
Yeah,
like, I didn't really want to be famous. I just wanted to create art and like do this as a job. And now she's on a red carpet and somebody's like treating her badly. It's like she can't catch a break in the real world or when she's at work.
100%.
But she did say on the red carpet when she was doing like a little interview that people do seem to be respecting her wishes that she made in that video that went viral.
That's good. That's Gen Z for you out here setting boundaries. I actually don't know if she's Gen Z or not, but
I also don't know that. That'd be interesting to look up. I actually don't know how old she is or anything.
But we love to see it.
Agree.
Healthy boundaries.
And we also love to see aliens, apparently, because there was a lot at the VMAs. And I don't know if we kind of manifested this because we talked a lot about aliens in the last episode. And we said, okay, we're talking about the VMAs next week. And now here we are talking about aliens and the VMAs
I love to see it. Right about spooky season. This is great. Couldn't ask for anything better.
True. Well, apparently it's not over because a billionaire and an engineer walked in space for the first private spacewalk. And I will say they didn't mention aliens, but I'm sure they were there.
Yet. They didn't mention aliens yet. And that's the problem with what we are seeing here. So we are now at the point where we are experiencing recreational space activity. Dangerous.
Well, it's almost like now we're going into their territory. Are they going to start coming here more?
You know what? You're right. How would we feel if space aliens decided they wanted to do a little Earth walk for a recreational activity?
Arguably, they might already be doing that.
Yes, they could have already have, and we just don't know it yet.
But last week we saw one, remember? We talked about it. They saw one on the mountains. Where are you going?
No.
Oh.
No, you said that was in Colorado.
It was close enough, though. No, I just needed to scare you again.
You're going.
Close to where you're going on vacation, and you're going to see aliens.
I'm going to be scared to go to sleep. I'm going to be, like, staring out the window. Like.
Okay, but arguably anywhere where there's mountains, I'm 10 times more scared than flatland.
I feel like they're drawn to the mountains as aliens because I feel as if
Reminds them of home.
right. I feel like their planets may look like that. Why are you laughing? Like this is
like making so many assumptions. Like, have you seen other planets? Like, what? I have no idea.
I barely know what Saturn looks like. I'm pretty sure it has rings because like it rhymes, but Jupiter could have
what
mountains.
rhymes? I'm sorry, what
Saturn
rhymes? Saturn and rings.
Yeah, isn't that the case? Saturn has rings?
But why does it rhyme? What do you mean?
I don't know. There's some kind of tune that I can't remember right now. Anyways, we keep messing in space. Space is going to mess back. And that's
right.
That's my truth.
Well, we'll tell that to Jared Isaacman and Sarah Gillis because they stepped out of the SpaceX aircraft. Technically, Jared Isaacman was first, and then Sarah Gillis went.
You know what? I might just call them up.
Tell him. And no, here's the thing. Isaacman and along with Elon Musk, because this was Elon Musk's SpaceX spacecraft, they both want to expand private space travel so that more non-professional astronauts can go to space, which is the problem we have. So we need to talk to them about this.
Yes, and when I call them up, I'm going to say, why? Why do you think this is a good idea?
For what purpose, you mean?
Yes, for what purpose? For fun?
I don't know. Adventure? It's one of those, like, F around and find out things. Like, why don't we not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And say we did, like, we still have a lot of ocean to explore. We got a lot of Earth to explore, and we're out here messing in space.
Yes. Well, the one thing that I will say was kind of interesting to me about this was they used SpaceX Dragon capsule, which is the same capsule that's supposed to be picking up the NASA astronauts that are stuck in space.
Oh, so we're just out here using a capsule that could be rescuing two stranded astronauts who have trained for this their whole life, to have family that are missing them, for billionaires to go walk through space for funsies.
That's what I gathered.
That's what I gathered as well. And I'm not happy about it. And the astronauts should be pissed. I said last week, or maybe the week before, they should be being prepared to sue NASA. And if they aren't already being prepared to sue NASA for being stuck, now they should. What the fuck is this? You got a capsule just flying billionaires around to do a little spacewalk that could be saving lives?
That's what I gathered. I will say allegedly because I don't exactly know.
I also said allegedly multiple times.
And I don't know if it's the exact space. I just know that they're both called Dragon. So, right. Like, I don't know how many they have. I would assume they don't have that many, though, because from what I read, it's very, very, very expensive. And that's why they're testing this out. They're trying to find ways to recreate this capsule that are cheaper to make it more accessible for other people.
I don't think we need to be trying to make a space vessel cheaper. Do we not remember what happened with the Titan going down to explore the Titanic? We just got over that. And some of us still aren't over that. They're finding more residue from that vessel as we speak. Did you see that?
No.
They found like the tail of it, and they found messages of the vessel trying to say like,
all good here.
All good here. And then like a couple hours later, I think that's when the communication dropped off. So
Which it was not all good there.
I just don't like that they're, we're trying to figure out how to make this cheaper. No.
It's expensive for a reason.
Let's just keep, some things are meant to be expensive in quality. And I think a spacecraft is maybe one of those things. That's just my thought. I'm not an astronaut. I'm not a physicist. I'm not an engineer. I'm just a girl with a brain.
And that's
all I got.
And sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
And in this case, I would agree with you.
Thank you.
Also being just a girl.
Girl with brain.
Girl with brain.
Girl with
you
brain.
Sure? Okay. Well, speaking of being places one probably shouldn't, an 8-year-old drove themselves 30 minutes to Target in Ohio.
That she is also just a girl with a brain, with a desire to shop. And I can't blame her, because I too want to go to Target at all times.
She wanted to go so badly. She couldn't wait, literally, to drive. So I will say, okay, well, first I will say she got Starbucks and went to Target. She got the Starbucks in
she
the
got
Target.
a Frappuccino.
And that part was just so relatable.
That is exactly what I would have done.
Exactly. And truly, the only reason she made it there, 30-minute drive, she only got caught because they were literally looking for her, thinking like something happened. She went missing.
And the car went missing.
The car.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realized once they started looking on Ring cameras of neighbors and like camera footage that she was driving the car.
This is low-key impressive.
Which, like, is she just super tall? Like, how is she driving this car?
I can barely see over my wheel, so I want to know how she was seeing over her wheel.
That alone is impressive. And she only hit one mailbox.
That's...
I've hit a lot of curbs in my day.
Same.
And so one mailbox for an 8-year-old doesn't seem too bad.
I don't think at 8 years old, I knew how to operate a car by any means.
That's the other thing. Was this premeditated? It had to be. Like, she must have been studying how to drive the car. Like, how do you know even...
Every car ride, just stare.
Taking notes in the back.
Taking notes, figuring out, like, all the buttons to press.
How to get it from drive to park. Like, she made it to Target and parked. To park in a parking spot.
I was nervous to park in a parking spot when I was 16 years old. Even when I was 15 years old and you're, starting. I did not want to train. I was, you know what? I was just talking about this with my parents. I was scared shitless to train to drive a car. I did not want to go in a parking lot and drive the car because I was scared the police were going to show up and I was going to get in trouble for driving without a license in the parking lot with my father, learning how to drive a car, going probably 5 miles an hour. And so my parents had to trick and bribe me to start driving a car.
With what, Starbucks and Target?
No. So they would trick me. And my dad would say, oh, yeah, you want to get a Slurpee? And I would get in the car, and then he would drive, and we'd park in, little school parking lot. And he'd say, it's time to drive. And I would...
To get to the 7-Eleven?
No. He wouldn't expect me to go to 7-Eleven. He said we'd get the Slurpees after I practiced driving in the parking lot.
You know what? That's fair.
They weren't trying to put me out on the open road. But I did not want to get in trouble. And then I struggled through driving school.
That's... You know what? It's okay. I always wanted to drive, but I feel like because I used to drive like the 4-wheelers when I was little, and like, I don't know, I wasn't scared of it. But I will say driver's ed, when you're with other kids in the class who are like very clearly scared to drive, is so scary. And they just put a bunch of kids who don't know how to drive together, and they're like, all right, let's start practicing.
And what's crazy about that was I think I was potentially so bad at driving when I was in driver's ed. I was not paired with other kids in the car. It was just me and the driver's ed teacher.
So you were who I would be terrified to drive with.
Yep.
Good to know, and I still am to this day.
But it works out well.
That's fair. Brittany makes me drive everywhere. Well, this 8-year-old wasn't terrified to drive.
That's just...
It's bizarre. It really is. She's not being criminally charged because she's too young.
Poor girl.
I know. And I will say, like, I want to say I'm impressed, but disappointed. Don't condone this type of behavior. But it was kind of impressive.
I mean, she's going places.
No, literally.
Maybe not Target anymore, but she went. And she will continue to go.
What do you think the parent literally was thinking at this time? Like, do you think they were not shocked? If you're a parent and your 8-year-old takes the car and drives, there's got to be some kind of warning.
There had to have been signs.
There had to be signs.
Your kid just doesn't pick up, get the keys, get to the car. But also, did she have cash on her, or did she have a credit card on her?
I think she had I think they said it was like Apple Pay or something.
That's how she was paying?
I think so.
Because I feel like I read something else that said she had bought like $400 worth of stuff in her cart and she had to give it back.
That's wild, which is also very us coded.
Yep. It sounds eerily similar to a trip we would take to Target.
Agreed. Well, speaking of being impressed, but also disappointed, we need to talk about this Tarte PR drama because recently what happened was Tarte sent out some PR packages to influencers. And some influencers were getting this Hermes bracelet that's worth like $700.
I was shook
Yeah.
when I saw. I was shook at first, but then I thought to myself, "It's Tarte. This makes sense. They're known for this kind of leverage giving."
Yeah. So to be fair, I mean, it made sense to me too. So they sent out this PR. They gave some influencers a $700 bracelet. And then some were getting $20 necklaces. But then even worse, it turns out some people were just getting like Cheez-Its and candy in theirs, not even like a necklace or a bracelet. And so as influencers were getting the PR, they were filming themselves opening it because a lot of them saw the original Hermes bracelets and were thinking, oh my gosh, I want to open this. I'm so excited. And then we're getting something else, which, I mean, to be fair, can you really be disappointed it's a free package?
Right.
But on the same time, they were like, there's some kind of hierarchy here of like, oh, if you're a certain kind of influencer, you get this. And if you're not, you don't. Which, to be fair, in the past, they have received backlash for if you have more followers or whatever, then you get treated better when you go on trips or whatever. So this has happened kind of in the past, but some creators were saying it's wrong and that brand should be giving everybody the same thing. I feel like it's pretty obvious why they did this. I mean, one, they knew that as people were getting them and posting about them, this was going to become a controversy, just like their trips do.
And we're talking about it now. Where people necessarily be talking about it if everyone got an Hermes bracelet, because they easily could have just sent out Hermes bracelets and not sent anything to the influencers that got the $20 necklace or the box of Cheez-Its, which I will say on record, if Tarte wants to send me a box of Cheez-Its, I will gladly accept the box of Cheez-Its, happily even. So just putting that out there. But I think it was a little bit of they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and it's also, no matter what, when they do the trips, when they do all this stuff, it's free advertising. They know that by sending, even if they only sent one Hermes bracelet and the person did the unboxing and showed that, that's free PR. I mean, some people get PR and don't ever post about it. So they knew that no matter what, by sending anybody an Hermes bracelet, they're going to post it, they're going to unbox it, and they're going to show this new product, whatever it was, which is actually funny because as I was saying, it's free advertising. I don't even know what product they were pushing. I only know about the Hermes bracelet.
I feel like I watched one of the first unboxing videos, saw the Tarte products, but I'm really focused on the Hermes bracelet and the Cheez-It box.
Yeah, so, I mean, ultimately, I'm not shocked that this happened. And again, just like they do with the brand trips, they're saying it's a misunderstanding. You know, they're not, like, picking any certain way.
It was just a randomly, we sent Cheez-It boxes and we randomly sent out Hermes bracelets.
Supposedly, allegedly.
Nothing's random in this world.
Correct. Well, speaking of some free advertising, you know, we kind of throw a little shade. We say sometimes Netflix will put movies on their top 10, even if they're really not top 10, to promote them and get people to watch them.
Right. Kind of like MySpace.
Correct. Well,
you'd put somebody in your top 5 that wasn't really in your top 5, but social politics.
Okay. No, that's fair. God, I miss those days. Well, we're accusing Netflix of possibly, allegedly maybe, doing this with the Uglies, because this movie, although it was number 2 right away when it first came out, and 20.8 million people ended up watching it, it only got a 19% critics approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And so reviews are so bad, saying it's a throwaway product, instantly dated. And I was shocked. I did watch it because, again, it was on Netflix top 2. So I'm like, oh my God, what is this? It must be good.
Right.
I had no idea that this movie was based on the 2005 book series that came out. And so I just watched it. It was also Joey King, Chase Stokes, Laverne Cox.
Yeah, star-studded cast.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, this must be great. And I will say that when it ended, I felt a little bamboozled. I felt like I didn't really learn much or gain much from the movie.
I'm on the Rotten Tomatoes page as we speak, reading
Reviews.
because I haven't seen it. I was
Gonna watch it.
thought about watching it this weekend because I didn't realize it came out until I saw it on the Netflix top 10. But people, there's a mix. I'm seeing some 5 stars. I'm seeing some 1 stars. The idea of it was not bad, but the implementation was miserable. The film was by and large simply boring, and the roles were immature and poorly embodied. Do you agree?
Not specifically. I mean, the acting was good. I mean, Joey King can act. So, and she's the main character in it.
Right.
And I will say she can act. But it was just almost the idea wasn't
Fully fleshed out.
Yeah, I just didn't fully get it. I wasn't that committed to it.
People say that it would have done better in prime dystopian
agreed
trilogy eras. So
Hunger Games, Divergent. I feel like those made more sense in my head than this premise, which is basically that you're ugly until you turn 16, then everybody gets this procedure and they go live in this world to be pretty. But then it's like, why wouldn't you just make everyone pretty from the get-go? Like, I don't get why you need to be 16 to go do this. It was just really weird. I didn't fully get that.
I feel like they just try to take a lot of YA tropes and it didn't land.
Yeah, and then I also feel like there was this big thing of like, would you do it? Would you not? Like everybody there wanted to do it besides like a random few people weren't going to do it. And before understanding like why, in my head I'm just like, wouldn't everybody go do it? Like, why would you even not go? Why would you consider to not do it? So I don't know. It was an interesting concept. I didn't fully get the concept. Whereas the other movies that are about like dystopias, I get it. Like,
right, it makes sense. The plot adds up.
Yeah.
The math is mathing. Where this, it's I could.
There's no full real reason, I guess. Is like the whole movie is based on something that I don't understand how this is even a problem to begin with.
Right. Them getting these surgeries.
Yeah.
Like, why did that start?
And also just why doesn't everyone just born that way or something? If you can go step in a box and turn pretty, can't you like alter DNA? Yeah, it's like some surgery. You step in a box and then you get everything done at once.
Well, then
you're also just like magically healed the same day.
Incredible technology. Definitely don't have that out here in 2024.
But if you did, arguably, would you go get it? If everyone was getting it?
If everyone was doing it, why not? I mean,
I actually saw, I think it was Jake Shane did a video and he was like, I don't get it. Like, I would be going to get this.
I would go in the box.
Yeah.
Immediately. No, that's just, I don't know. I feel like I need to watch it to fully understand.
Yeah, I mean, at this point you have to watch it,
right.
But also it ends so abruptly. Evan was also like, looked at me after and was like, what did we just do? Yeah, because he's like, now we have to watch a second one, and like he wasn't fully invested in it. It's probably going to be a couple years
before the second one comes out.
It felt a little
I hope they do a second one then. And it's not like the Divergent where they just
stop after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't go well.
Yeah, did not go well. Well, last but not least, before we get into the Shady stories, an honorary awkward mention was the Nutter Butters social media account that's going viral right now for being weird, creepy.
Could have never anticipated what my eyes were going to see. This started with, I saw a TikTok, as I feel is happening to many people right now, that says, I cannot unsee what I've seen on the Nutter Butters TikTok page. And this is not new news, because when I went to Nutter Butters page, I expected, a few new weird, different, some kind of videos. And I was floored with what I saw. And this has been going on for weeks.
So I also just saw it, and I was also exposed in the way of, I didn't see the Nutter Butter content organically. I saw somebody else saying, what is going on with Nutter Butter's TikTok page? And to be honest, and somebody said like it's very like Gen Z. Who let a Gen Z take over
the
Nutter Butter social media? And so I was kind of expecting, you know, the dolphin that was going viral.
Yes, I just want to be part of your symphony.
Yeah, that's kind of what I expected.
Traumatic kind of text over it.
Yes, that's what I expected. What I saw was not what I expected. We'll put a video, but like also go to their page and watch it so we can all feel what we felt, because I truly can't explain what I saw. And it's so creepy that there's literally content warnings. Like I watched one and it was like content warning.
And
do you want to watch? Yeah. And it was some creepy guy like popped up at the end and was like,
it's like worse than a scary movie, but also you feel like you're being brainwashed as you're consuming the content.
That's the best way to say it. It feels so brainwashing. You're just like, what am I seeing? But you can't stop watching either.
No.
So whatever they're doing is working. But also, is this really making anyone want a Nutter Butter?
I don't know what their end goal is, but they're definitely creating a buzz. I'm actually, you know what? I'm hopeful that this is all gearing up towards a Super Bowl ad. And it's just, they're really playing the long game. Yep.
Perfect. I would love to see what happens there. I will be totally 100% honest and transparent. I don't know what a Nutter Butter is.
Yes, you do.
Look, I can picture it in my head, but like I don't know what's in it. I've never had it. I'm guessing it's peanut butter, and that's why I've never had it.
Yes, 100%. I don't think I've ever
butter?
had one either. I can picture a red package.
Yeah, and then like a little peanut-shaped cracker with like something in the middle.
I want to say it's like a peanut butter version of an Oreo, but I might be completely wrong. I'm going to Google it, and we're going to find out in real time what is a Nutter Butter.
It must be peanut butter, and that's why I've never had it, because that's the only thing that makes sense in my head, because I have been exposed to that packaging
It's
so many
exactly
times.
as I said. A Nutter Butter is a brand of peanut butter sandwich cookies that originated in the United States. Its appearance are peanut-shaped cookies,
Okay.
Two
So
sugar.
it is peanut butter.
Yes, they're sugar wafers with a peanut butter filling.
Okay, well now maybe somebody does want it, and we just did their advertising for them.
It actually does sound delicious. And looking at it right now, I low-key want one.
I would argue no.
And they have, I'm not going to say the name of that product, actually.
Okay. Well, I feel like we're watching some kind of dystopian AI gone wrong on their content, but we'll recap this probably in 2025 when they have a Super Bowl ad, and we'll see what happens. But for now, let's get into Shady Story number 1. When I was in college, I had this guy friend who I knew for a long time because we were from the same town. We were always just friends and nothing more. We always talked when we saw each other. He had a girlfriend who I didn't know, but knew of her. He saw me on campus one day and asked me if I would do him a huge favor. He told me that he cheated on his girlfriend and admitted it to her since it was eating at him, but he didn't tell her who he had cheated with. He told her some random girl when he was drunk. He said this girl was upset, but she ended up not breaking up with him. He told me that they were always fighting and she just couldn't let it go. She told him she wants to know who the girl was, and maybe then she can move past it. He ended up asking me if he could tell her that he cheated on her with me. I was shocked and asked him why he would want to do that and not just tell her the truth. He told me who he actually cheated on her with would destroy her and end their relationship for good, and he couldn't tell her the truth. I at first said no, but while he was basically begging me, I had a change of heart. I told him if he paid me $50 and told me who he had actually cheated on her with, then I would let him use my name. I wasn't scared of this girl at all, and we weren't friends, so I didn't really care too much, and I knew it wouldn't really affect my life at the time since I was single. He said deal and told me it was her best friend. Why he trusted me with this info, I don't know. I guess he was desperate. I honestly in that moment felt bad for this girl because I knew it would shatter her world. I thought, damn, she's about to lose her best friend and boyfriend if I don't do this. Her and her best friend were very known on campus, and when you would hear about one girl, you would think of the other. So he ended up telling her it was me that he cheated on her with. Whenever she saw me, she would give me dirty looks, and even homegirl's best friend would give me dirty looks like they were going to do something, and I was mortified inside. I would give dirty looks back at the best friend. She never said anything to me, thank God. Fast forward in life, I got a Facebook request from this guy who I did the huge favor for, and he's married to the girl that he lied to in college about me, and they have a kid. I feel like a POS about the situation and sometimes wonder if I should have just told the girlfriend the truth now since she ended up being his life partner. The problem wasn't mine. This problem that wasn't mine became mine on my conscience, and I feel like I should have charged him more than $50 at the time. This is like some easy A type crap.
That's what it was giving when I read it. I was like, I feel like this is very similar to a movie I've seen, but I couldn't put my finger on what movie it was, and that's what it is.
I love that movie. I feel like we've probably talked about it at some point on here.
Such a good movie.
Obsessed with that movie. But this is exactly what it is. First of all, paying somebody to lie for you, it's so crazy.
That is like, literally easy A.
That's the value of it to you, $50. And this girl, her best friend's
a terrible person.
I will say this. It's not worth $50. And now she's stuck with this man forever. And like, hopefully, at least, I guess the best I could say is maybe they're not best friends anymore. So like, that would be best case scenario.
I'm very curious if their friendship lasted. But if that's who the best friend was at her core, I would like to think that maybe they aren't friends anymore.
Right.
And maybe she's drifted away. And I'm really hoping that his behavior didn't continue with the best friend and that it was, one-time thing, terrible. But if this was continuing and is still going on to today, that's a little wild.
I mean, imagine every time you did this and you just pay someone $50 to lie about it. That's insane. That's insane even thinking of that transaction in your mind.
I thought that this story was going to end up with, she was going to take the $50, but then still tell the girl, like, hey.
It's never too late.
It never is.
Well, now there's a kid involved and stuff. So. Oh, yeah, well, either way, this was very easy A-coded, except worse. Somehow worse. So I would say this is like a 10 out of 10.
I would say 9 out of 10 for me. Shady story number 2. It was my freshman year of college. Out on my own for the first time with my best friend by my side. What could go wrong? I guess I should have started off by saying by my new best friend, for the sake of the story, we'll call her Mary. Had previously spent a year at a Christian college. What an angel she was, until she met me. I met a guy who was 2 years older, and he seemed so cool at the time. We'll call him Peter. Not to be mistaken with Peter Evans. Peter invited me over to his townhouse and said his roommate, who we'll call Tom, not Brady, would also be there. So me being me, I called my little Virgin Mary to come with me. We show up and the drinks were flowing. Tom liked what he saw in Mary and wanted a little horizontal refreshment. Mary pulled me aside and said, I can't, I'm a virgin. I said, sure you can. Go get him, Tiger. And by golly, my girl did. The night ends and the morning comes. Mary and I go on our way. Well, obviously, Peter loves me and Tom loves Mary, so this became a regular thing. One night, Peter had gone home for the weekend, so I thought. But Tom had his fine A friend over, and they wanted to have some drinks. I pick up Mary, and we go off. As we're enjoying our drinks and the eye candy Tom had displayed on a platter, Tom says, I have to tell you something. Me perking up because your girl loves some piping hot tea. I'm listening. Tom saying Peter's been lying to you. He has a girlfriend this whole time and he's not at home. He's with her this weekend. Mind you, this has been a weekend thing for months. But Tom also drops that Peter's also talking about proposing. I said, wow, what a D-bag. And I am over it, but Mary knew better. I wasn't over it. A short time later, I grab Mr. Hot Pants and say, want to go upstairs? He obviously follows little old me up those stairs. I take him into Peter's room, and we climb on top of his clean sheets and nicely made bed. You can use your imagination from there. The next morning, I made sure to leave the bed a mess, my ponytail in his bed, and you know what? We left a wrapper on the ground for a nice little touch. I texted Peter and said, I suggest you wash your sheets, and blocked his playing ass. He tried reaching out on multiple social media accounts, but ain't nobody got time for that. I thought about messaging her when I found out she was pregnant, so I didn't have it in me to ruin that for her. I recently saw his social media. He's bald, short AF, and as round as can be. So I win, and I found the man of my dreams and didn't end up with an Oompa Loompa like that poor girl.
I love everything about this mainly because all the references to everything we've said in our podcast.
So happy to read. This was one of my favorite stories that I think that we've ever read from start to finish. Great story. Great. You know what? Maybe we've said this before about somebody that wrote in a shady story. Maybe they should write a book. I think that you also should write a book because I was very entertained. This was very good writing, according to me.
I loved it. I really did. I also think that's probably best case scenario for the revenge that you could have done. And also props to frickin' Tom for telling you the truth about Peter.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no guy code was followed there.
Not
he was like, I'm telling.
Guy code.
I also do wonder, though, did Tom and Mary stay together?
Right. Are they together to this day? Did that end? What happened there?
Write us again. But this is also funny. I feel like this is how it always happens. The karma will get these men later in life.
It sure will.
And it shows with this guy. So I think this is an 8 out of 10.
Oh, I was going to say 10 out of 10.
Simply because of the writing? Okay.
Yes.
Shadiness, 8 out of 10. Writing, 10 out of 10. Okay, shady story number 3. Here's a short backstory. My now husband and I got together in 2017. We fell in love for our love for trucks, country music, and I don't know, whatever else we did in our early 20s. Now for the shady part. He went to Vegas with his family for his 21st birthday in November, and because I was in college, I didn't know his family that well at the time. I stayed home. While he was gone, I borrowed his truck because my car was in the shop. I live in Alberta, and where I'm from in Calgary, we have train stations and a train line above the ground, kind of like a subway, I guess, but not underground. I didn't want to park his massive truck in the parkade at school. I took his truck to the train station thinking I would avoid damage to the truck by not parking in an underground parking lot and taking the train. However, when I got to the station, I accidentally hit a pole, and although I wasn't going very fast, there was a dent and yellow paint transfer from the pole. It wasn't massive, so I figured, it wasn't a big deal. I'm not going to lie, I kind of forgot about it. My man came home from Vegas, and to my surprise, he asked about the dent. Shooketh, I panicked and told him that I didn't know where it came from and said someone must have backed into the front of his truck at our condo, as he always backed into the parking stall, so the front of his truck was sticking out a little. Our garbage truck company has yellow trucks, so of course he believed me. He was going to write a letter to the company, but I convinced him not to worry about it because we weren't 100% sure it was them. Fast forward to a friend's wedding in 2022, shortly before our scheduled wedding in 2023, one of our mutual friends brought up brides and grooms sharing secrets before they get married, introducing the idea of a clean slate. I had enough liquid courage that night, and I finally decided to fess up the real reason there was a dent and yellow paint on my partner's truck. He was immediately annoyed, but then laughed it off. However, he definitely brings it up from time to time, and I kind of think the shady part is that he brings it up in arguments. Oh well, I'm sure eventually he will move past it. I don't know if I would ever want to drive Evan's truck for that reason.
I was going to say.
Also, it's very funny because me and Elena were just talking. It is such a thing for everyone who has a truck to back their car in when they park.
Dude, I just experienced that. I mean, like, I've always noticed that with trucks, but I was in my parking garage going to work today, and I had to wait for an extra, like, not that long. Like, I say 5 minutes is probably less than that, but it felt like at least 5 minutes for this truck to not just simply pull into a spot that would take, a second or two. They had to stop the car and make a whole thing out of it so they are able to back their truck in. And I was pissed.
It is a thing. It's a truck thing because Elena's husband, Matt, just got a truck too.
Mm-hmm.
And I met them for lunch, and he literally had to drive around the parking lot
multiple times,
stop, back in. And Elena got out, and she's like, I don't know why he always does that now. He always backs in now. I'm like, Evan does the same thing.
I've heard that it's supposedly easier to park the car. I don't know. I've driven a truck once in my life. I got a rental car when I was in Florida for work.
And they gave you a truck?
Well, so the car that I was supposed to get, they were out of like the average just like car. So I had the choice between a minivan or
Should have took the minivan.
a brand new F-150. And I said, I want the brand new F-150.
And then you regretted it?
I honestly, I loved having it. My friend, Bilal was there with me. And every time that we like got to our destination, I had to stop the car, get out, and he would have to park the truck.
That's
but he
the
didn't
problem.
he didn't back it in. I think he just parked it like a normal person.
Yeah, I have driven Evan's truck a couple times. I don't like doing it, and I've never backed it in anywhere, but it is such a thing. But I think this is kind of funny. I mean, it's not that big of a deal in the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's a probably quick little stop at the shop to get it fixed.
Yeah.
No big deal. But I feel like finally deciding to fess up before marriage is like a clean slate. I don't know if that was necessary.
And then they asked too, I didn't include this part, if you had anything that you fessed up to have a clean slate before you went into a marriage with Evan. And I was, I don't feel like you
that's just
did.
No, I mean, we've been together for so long at this point. Like, I don't know. I feel like anything, I mean, if I ever backed his truck in anything, I would immediately tell him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know. I'm surprised that she didn't. And Brian doesn't have a truck, but I can't imagine he'd be too happy with me if I backed his car into anything. It's just an honest mistake.
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think if I feel like one time I did hurt Evan's truck.
You heard it.
I think so.
You hurt its feelings.
But it was like something so stupid. Like I opened the door too fast and hit something.
Oh. It happens.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? He was fine. But overall, the shadiness of this isn't too bad. I feel like this is like a 5 out of 10.
I would say the same thing.
All right. That is it for this week's episode. We are going to be doing the Emmys and VMAs fashion reviews on the Patreon bonus content. So if you want to see that, make sure you go there. Keep writing in the shady stories, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.